is presenting to minimize distraction. As always, if you have any questions, please feel free to pop them in the chat. Our mentors are already in the chat and we will be happy to answer them. If you prefer to speak, kindly wait for the Q&A section where you'll be allowed to ask your question. Without further delay, it's time to introduce our mentor of the day. If you were here last week, you already know him. He delivered an insightful section on Microsoft Entra ID last week. Opeyemi is a cloud infrastructure engineer with experience across Azure, M365, and security operations. He's a Microsoft certified trainer, a professional member of the British Computer Society, and holds multiple certifications. He has certifications such as Microsoft Certified Security Compliance and Identity Fundamentals, Security Operation Analyst Associate, Teams Administrator, and many others. With some clapping emoji, join me once again in welcoming our mentor of the day, Opeyemi Stephen.
Thank you. Hello. Thank you very much, Nonso.
Yeah, thank you. I'll stop sharing now.
All right, thank you. Just gonna share my screen now. I think there's an audio somewhere. I don't know.
Where is that audio
I need
coming
an
from?
echo.
Bridget.
And we'll have a look at it. Please go ahead when you're ready.
All right. So I'm just gonna share my screen now. 1 second.
Bridget, can you mute your mic, please? Thank you.
All right. Okay. So good evening, everybody. Once again, yeah. Thank you very much for that wonderful introduction. So, as you all know, this is like the last session in this the SC 900. So, and I believe most of us we've been going through the Microsoft Learn because most of these things you are seeing on the slides are just there on the Microsoft Learn. So we just try to put it on the slide so that people can really be carry along in the class. So I will advise you to please make sure you go to Microsoft Learn. If you're preparing for the SC 900 after today, after if you know you are confident enough, then you should be booking your exams to write that SC 900 before the end of the year. At least you can have that in your portfolio. Okay, so that is for that. So today, as you can see on the screen, so we are going to be talking about the introduction to the Microsoft Preview and Microsoft Purview. So that is what we are going to be talking about today. Sorry, 1 second. I think this line. Just 1 second. Trying to check. Okay, so from the word Microsoft Preview is from the word privacy. It has to do with the word privacy. Okay, and so we'll still coming back to that, but now let's move on. Now, there's something called the Microsoft Service Trust Portal. The Microsoft Service Trust Portal. Okay, so now this Trust Portal is a website that tells you everything about where they have a lot of published that publish materials, audit reports, and other compliance-related information, you know, associated with the Microsoft cloud services. Okay, so the service trust portal, you can also, it's something you can download. You can also download that if you go to, which I'm going to show you maybe at the end of the class or so. So you can go there, you can download some of the things and then see what Microsoft is actually giving you, understand what is their service trust, you know. So understand what is their service trust. So if you look at it now, the word service trust, it said is a key resource from Microsoft designed to support your organization's compliance and security efforts in the cloud. Okay. Sorry, give me 1 second. I need to... Okay, sorry about that. So it said is a service trust portal. The service trust portal is a key resource from Microsoft designed to support your organization compliance and security effort in the cloud. Okay, so and is a public accessible material. So where you can download you have audit report that is created independently by external auditors, you know, and then you can access the Microsoft author white paper that explain how Microsoft Cloud Services guide your data, you know, and then learn some best practice for managing your cloud data. So now this particular service trust portal are also where you can find some certificates, regulation, you know, standards, you know, information, you know, that has to do with the Microsoft cloud environment. Okay, so this is just like them telling you that, okay, this is what we are doing with your data. These are standards of these are standards that we actually follow and things like that. So when you go to that portal, I think the address is service trust. I think the service trust something like service trust.microsoft.com. Terabyte. I might just check that. Let me see 1 second. Yeah, it's servicetrust.microsoft.com. So when you go to that environment, it's going to show you a whole lot of things about the Microsoft service trust standard. Okay, so which actually I'm going to show you that later. So now we now have the Microsoft Microsoft Privy. Now, when we say Microsoft Privy, said Microsoft Privy is a privacy management. So the word that privy means what? Privacy. Is a privacy management solution designed to help organizations responsibly handle personal data. Also, which reduce our privacy risks and stay compliant with regulation like the GDPR, you know, just like here in the UK, we call GDPR and things like that. So, and which every organization, if you look at it, every country has their own data regulation stuff. And so Microsoft too, they also work in relation with that. That's why you see in some companies, some data are not allowed to leave that particular country to another place. So there's always a regulation, you know, that is guiding how data are being collected and how data are being secured. Okay, so this Microsoft Privy, like from the word is from the word privacy. So it's a privacy management solution that helps that helps organization to handle what are personal data, and they try to meet up with the required regulation. Okay, so this is also, they also use to help our employee adopt our sound data handling practices and training them to spot and fix issues, understand the potential risks in the amount and type of personal data they store and share, fulfill data subject requests or subjects rights requests. Okay, so the Microsoft Privy is a comprehensive set of privacy solution that supports privacy operation in your organization. So that is just it. It supports what? Privacy in your organization. Now, if you look at from the diagram here now, from the Microsoft preview, now there are some features it has. Which one we have the what we call the privacy assessment. The privacy word assessment. Say this helps organization evaluate how personal data is being handled. So how personal data is what is being handled. So the cloud, every cloud resources you are seeing, every cloud provider you are seeing out there, they have regulation. They have regulation that they follow. So they don't just collect your data, they don't just have your information, because the truth is that when you create your users information, you create your users identity, your Microsoft Entra ID, you understand, it stays in the cloud, is there in the cloud, is where in a particular server that you and I are not, you don't even know where the server is, you don't even know like the physical location, you can't even say it's something you can even see with your eye, but the data, you have thousands and millions, billions of data there. So they can't just collect your data like that and then feel that. No, so they also try to make sure that there's something called privacy word assessment. It said this helps organization to evaluate how personal data is being handled. And then we have the privacy risk management. It said your data is being used across the organization and apply customizable policy template to proactively manage and minimize privacy risks. Now, then we have the next one, which is tracker scanning. Tracker scanning. It said this enables organizations to automatically detect tracking technologies across website. Simplify privacy, compliance, and streamline reporting and management. And management. And then we have the consent management. We have the consent management. It said manages how user consent is collected, stored, and respected across all data types and cloud environment. So which means that when they collect your data, when your data is being collected, there's something called the consent management. So this is how user consent is being collected, stored, and respected across all the data types. It's just like that. If you are working in organization, you go and meet your HR, say, "Oh, I don't want my data. Oh, I don't want my data to do." It's okay, no problem. They'll delete your data, but just know that they need your data because of what you are, because they employ you in that organization. But you also have your right to say, "I don't want my data in your place." So, and then the needful, they'll do the needful. They'll collect you can retrieve backward your data. So every data that is being collected are being respected across all data types and environment. I know in some country you have to collect your medical data, you have to go and do some medical tests, you do this, you do that, they collect that and they do that. So where they store this data, where they keep all these things, there is privacy there. And the same thing applies if you say you don't want them, you can also say you want to withdraw your data. So then we have the subject right request. Subject right requests streamline how organizations respond to data. Subject inquiry by automating process, providing insight, and enabling efficient workflow. Enabling efficient workflow. Now, this request are sometimes also referred to as data subjects. Sorry, as data subject request. So data subject requests or consumer right requests. For companies that store large amount of information, finding the relevant data that can be formidable tax. So this Microsoft Purview can help you to handle these inquiries. Okay. Next. Now, so the next we want to move is data classification in Microsoft Purview information protection. Microsoft the data classification in Microsoft Purview information. So quickly before we move further, who can simply what do you understand by the word data classification? Let's just put that the word data. When you hear the word data, what do you understand by the word data classification? Do we have anybody? Okay, Chuk says segmentation of data. Okay, yeah. Anyone? Victoria, do you want your unmute to save and then just speak? Or no, so are you able to unmute?
I think she can unmute herself.
Okay.
Victoria, if you're ready, you can unmute yourself and speak. Thank you.
Okay, no problem. I think I've been getting somebody.
There's also James, if you don't mind. Sorry.
Okay, James. Okay, James, over to you.
James, go ahead. We can hear you.
James Afolabi. Is this James Afolabi? Okay. All right. Okay. Because of our time, no problem. So let's not waste that. So I've been getting some reply on the chat, so that's fine. So somebody said different types of data, collecting data and organizing table of files or segments, organizing data in their requires section, importance. Somebody say high importance, highly confidential. All right. Okay. I think we are really making sense. So from the word data classification, now it said to meet compliance requirements, organization must understand where their important data lives and how it is used, where the data live and how it is used. Now, if you look at the first thing we have here, we have sensitive information type. You said admin can support this by using Microsoft Purview data classification and Explorer to identify, label, and manage sensitive information across data estate. So number one is known as what? As the sensitivity information type. Sensitive information type. Now, this particular one said these are pattern-based classifier used to detect specific types of personal or confidential data. That's how you can see the word sensitivity information type. So I said they rely on predefined formats like national ID, credit card, your passport number, maybe your health insurance number, and all those things those are known as as sensitive information. So this Microsoft Purview allows us to clarify, to classify different kind of data. Now, it said Microsoft Purview allow organizations to create custom sensitive information type to meet specific needs, such as identifying employee ID or project numbers, enhancing data classification and protection. So this Microsoft Purview also guide is safeguard all those data you are seeing, your credit card, your passport number, your bank number, your health service number, they are all known as as private data. That's why this is called Microsoft Purview. They are what? They are private data. So this Microsoft Purview allows us what? To classify what? Data in different form. And that's why the first one we have what is the sensitivity what? Information type. Next, so the next one we have the data match classification. Data match classification. Now, you said the data match classification lets you define custom sensitivity what information type using exact value from a database. In Microsoft Purview, these are known as exact data match classifier and are used to precisely what identify and protect what organization specific what data. It said Microsoft Purview allow organization to create custom sensitivity information type to meet specific needs such as what identify employee data or project numbers, enhancing data classification and protection. And now this exact data match sorry, 1 second. Sorry about that. So it said this exact data match, helps us what to it lets you to assign, it lets you what to protect some kind of what information value in a database. And that's why then we now have what we call now have the trainer. We have the trainable classifier. Now I said this uses artificial intelligence and machine learning to intelligently classify your data, and they are in two types. We have the pre-trained classifier and we have the custom word classifier. So this pre-trained classifier are the ones that are already listed by Microsoft. It said these are already used mode built by Microsoft to detect common data types such as what resume, secure code, harassment, profanity, and then threats involving what physical harm. No additional training is needed. So which means that Microsoft have already given us, they just assume that okay, people win there. So they've already created what a predefined one, trainable one classifier, and then you can also what create your own based on the organization needs, and that is why it is called what trainable what classifier. So the custom trainable classifier, organization can create and train their own classifier to identify unique data types, like what specific what contract, invoice, or customer record tailored to their specific what needs. Now, he said the data classification can involve large numbers of documents and email to help administrators derive insights and understanding the Explorer nodes under information protection in the Microsoft Purview portal provide tools such as what the Activity Explorer and the Content Explorer. Now we have the Content Explorer. The Content Explorer provides a real-time view of item tagged with sensitivity label, retention label, or classify as sensitivity word information types. And the Activity Explorer track how label content is being used, shared, or modified across the organization. Now we have the sensitivity label and policy in Microsoft Purview. Now, organization needs to protect their data to keep customers safe, support business operation, and meet compliance rule. Tools like sensitivity label and policy in Microsoft Purview can be used for that purpose. Now, when you apply a sensitive label on a particular document, from that word sensitive means that it is sensitive. Means that it is something that is sensitive. Said this enables the labeling and protection of of content without affecting productivity and collaboration. So which means that if a document is being labeled as confidential or a document is being labeled as a high confidential, so it means that that one you see, you see the watermark. That watermark we are seeing is not just there for decoration. So when you try to now tamper with that document, when you try to use that document, what you are not meant to use it for, it will not allow you. Why? Because of a sensitive label has been applied on that document. So when you see highly confidential, so it means that it is not for you to view. It is not for you to use it to do one or two things, but not to transfer it to another person that does not have the right to view that particular information. That's why we say organization needs to protect their data to keep customers safe, support business operation, and meet compliance rules. This allows productivity and collaboration. So if a particular document is meant to be viewed with a third party, you will definitely have that access to view it with the third party. If a data is meant to transfer to just certain set of people, it will be configured in such a way that you can only send it to them. But if you go and send it to where you're not supposed to send it to, it will not allow because of this sensitive label that has been applied on it. So saying sensitive labels are customizable. They are clear text, such as the word you see the word confidential. You see the word also, it depends on what you see it in a watermark. So it's is clear in a clear text. Because each label is stored clear in the content metadata. And then we have persistence. It's that after you apply a sensitive label to content, the label is stored in the metadata of that email or document. So which means that the label then moves from the content, including protection settings. So if you are moving that document to anywhere, the setting is going with it. So when you're not trying, like I said, when you're trying to take it, we are trying to transfer this document to where you are not supposed to transfer it, because of that metadata, it will not allow it to go. Because of the sensitive is a sensitive label. So you can see it's customizable, is clear text. Somebody say I'm a bit too fast. Oh, sorry. All right, sorry about that. So say each items. So the next one, we have the sensitive label can be encrypted. Mark the content, which is watermark. Apply label automatically. Protect content in container. Extend to third-party apps or services. So which means that the sensitive label, like you have some emails. If that email is being encrypted, it means that if you are sending it to anybody, whoever you are sending it to should have access to decrypt that particular email. But if it's going to the wrong person, definitely the person will not have a key to decrypt it. And then it has a watermark on it. Like I said, you see the watermark, they put confidential. So you should know that it is confidential. The reason why you are even seeing it is because of is because you have access to that data. And that's why you see, we talked about it last time in our last class. Confidentiality is very, very important. And then trust is very important in an organization. They should be able to trust you with customers' data. Companies should be able to trust you with anything they put in your care. So you can't say, who's looking at me? Who's looking at me? You just call. You call your colleague. Hey, Tunde, come and see. Come and see. It shows that there's a problem with trust, because that document is written there as confidential. You are seeing it because you have access to it. So that is the watermark. Then apply label automatically. So which means that when you access a document that has a sensitive label on it, it will apply automatically. You will see there, the label will be applied automatically. If you transfer that file from one place to another, it will be there. Like I said, if you are transferring to the wrong person, the person will not get it because of what? There is a metadata protection settings on it already. So just like here, we have extend to third-party apps or services. It's just like now, if I say, okay, we are not allowing emails from our company to go to deliver to Gmail account, or to deliver to an Outlook account, or to deliver, or a particular domain is being specified. So it means that if you are trying to send an email, if you are trying to send that particular email, which is confidential, to an email account or to anybody, it will not go. From the one that is even confidential, like I said, some document will be encrypted. So once it's encrypted, you send it to the person cannot see it because of what? This sensitive word label on it. And then we say sensitive, and we have label policy. Label policy. It said after sensitive label are created, they need to be published to make them available to people and services in the organization. Now, sensitive labels are published to users or groups through what? Label what? Policy. So which means that when you create this, your sensitive label, the policy is the one that is now holding how that particular sensitive label word will work. Okay. Now it said sensitive labels are published to users or groups. So which means that in your organization you can decide, okay, HR department, maybe you want to send a financial record. Now you can publish to what? To just selected members. Maybe you have like your HR department. We have the group. So you just publish it to what? To that particular word group. So it is only those set of people in that group that will definitely have access. So the policy. So here he said, choose the groups, choose the users or groups. So which means that you can publish to a user, you can also publish to what? To group, and they can see the label. Okay, you can choose to publish it to any of the above. Then we have apply a default label. It said to all new emails and documents that specify users groups created. It said users can always change the default label if they believe the document or email has been mislabeled. So there are some sensitive labels that you apply, that you do, that you can decide to allow them to choose it. So whenever they are sending that email, then they can now choose that sensitive label. Like I said, it depends on, but there are some that it will be required. It will not be there automatically. As you are sending it, you are seeing that watermark there. It said require justification for label changes. So when you want to change a label, when you want to change, you have to you have to require you have to put the justification. Why is this particular label being removed? Why, if a user wants to remove a label or replace it, the admin can require that the user provide valid justification, and that will also pass through a process of approval. So you cannot just say, oh, you want to remove, I don't know why is this watermark? The watermark is there for a reason, and most of these things, users are being educated. They are being educated in their department by their managers. Tell them, okay, this document are important document. So when you see XYZ on this document, or when we are sending a financial record document to so XYZ people, make sure you apply this particular sensitive label. Maybe that one they didn't put it. So when you are sending it, you have to go there and then click. Some, it will be there automatically. It said link users to custom help pages. Okay, sorry, let me go back to that. So if you look at from here now, you can see from this image here, you have confidential word finance. Okay, you can see from this image now, this is how it's going to look at the end of the day when you are trying, when you finish configuring what a sensitive label and then you apply what the policy. You can see here you have content marking, you have here you have confidential financial data they put here. You can see you have auto labeling for files and emails. Auto labeling apply. So auto labeling was you be apply here. I think it's saying none here. So this is how you configure. So all this one you configure it what in your Microsoft Purview environment, and is known as information what protection. So which means that that information you are trying to send out, you are simply what protecting what that particular information. Next, now the next we have what to call data loss prevention. Data loss prevention. Data loss prevention. Now, if you look at this place, now I said data loss can negatively impact customers, disrupt business operation, and damage the organization reputation and trust. That's why you see in every organization, what we are protecting in our organization is data. No matter your organization, no matter what it is, it's data you are protecting. You employ people. What are you protecting? What are you safeguarding? The data of people you employ. You are collecting records. That's why you see. That's why you see our financial institution. They can't collect your record, and you see somebody is accessing that record, or somebody is calling you that I saw this your record here. I saw this your I saw this XYZ. No. So every company collects record, and they protect it. So this Microsoft Purview environment, there's something called data loss prevention. It's a data loss prevention can negatively or impact customer, disrupt business operation, and damage the organization reputation and trust. Okay, that is when data are not being guided properly. When data are not either being properly configured, they are not being properly safeguarded. So there will be what to call problem. So, and the organization, there will be trust. There will be trust issue. It's just for example now, you open an account with a bank, and somebody else is viewing your data, and you can or maybe you just see they post your data on the internet. You just see there your date of birth, everything, the name of the bank, your bank account, everything, your account balance. But it's not this my GT bank. How come? What is happening? So there will be issue. So that's why you see every organization protects their data very, very well. Okay. Now, this data, admin can identify, they can monitor, and automatically protect sensitive information across Microsoft 365 services, which is OneDrive for business. So there's OneDrive separate. There's OneDrive which is for personal use, and the one company use are OneDrive for business. So there are two different things. Okay, so they are not the same. So your OneDrive you have, that one is your personal OneDrive, and the one you have in your company that they open is the OneDrive for business. And then we have the SharePoint. So admins are now the one that are responsible for identifying this information, monitoring these data, protecting sensitive item across this your Microsoft 365 services. Like a Microsoft 365 service, like a Microsoft 365, when a user has a OneDrive, I'm not saying you should go and there's like we said the last time, there's something called logs. There's something called audit log. So it's always good you do what you have access to in your day. You don't use your company tenant to practice something, because by the time they go through an audit log and they now saw that so person came here, he click on this because you have an administrator right. You went there, you did this one, you that. They will ask you, what were you trying to do? And you cannot defend. You are not. It's not maybe you are trying to, and that will cause a lot of problem. Okay, so back to what I want to talk about now. In your OneDrive environment, in your Microsoft 365, there's something called OneDrive for Business. Like I said, now if you want to now, let's say for example, a user, let's say for example, a user have left an organization, and then they now say, okay, we need access to the OneDrive of that particular user, or they need a particular document which is in the OneDrive of that particular user who has left the organization. Okay, now who has left the organization? One, this must be done properly. Like I said, it has to go through the line manager. When it comes to the line manager, it comes to the IT. So when it goes to the IT, the admin will not just go there. It will go through your own line manager. It will also go to, so it will pass through a lot of process, because those are information that are very, very important. Now, if you now say, okay, I want to get a particular data from this person OneDrive who has left the organization. So if you go to your OneDrive, there's something called link. So you can create a link. Once you go and create that link, you can now have access to the OneDrive of that particular fellow. You can see everything in that particular OneDrive. So if you don't have access to it, you don't go down. So these are what admins protects. These are sensitive information. Now we have the online, we have the Exchange Online and Office 365 app. Then we have the Microsoft Teams chat and chat messages. Do you know that even in your Microsoft environment, in your Microsoft Teams environment, now within your organization, let's say for example, within your organization, now you are having a chat with your colleagues. You're having a chat with your colleague, and there's a heat conversation between you and your colleague, and then you now send an abusive statement to that colleague. You now send an abusive statement to that colleague, and the colleague was down. Why will you have to do that? What have I done to receive this? And then the person felt guilty, and he deleted that particular message immediately. And because you are not happy with that, you now decide to go and escalate it to the manager, or you decide, in fact, some people don't even go to the manager, you decide to go and report to the HR. And now you don't have any evidence to show, because this person has deleted that chat between both of you, and you don't have any screenshot of it. Now, in this Microsoft Teams environment, we can get the chat history of every employer. So what you just need to do, which we are going to talk about, that all you just need to do is just go to this Microsoft Purview environment. There's a feature called there. You go to that feature, and then it will now get us what we will now need to filter that particular abuse statement. Let's say the person say you are an idiot. So we'll go to that Microsoft Purview environment and then do what we call content search. So with that content search, we'll be able to see the chat between you and that colleague, but although the person has deleted it. So these are things that these are things that the admins protect, just for the reputation of the organization. So in your Microsoft Teams environment, you have the chats, you have the chat messages and the channel messages. So you can also always get any information at the end of it. Then we now have the devices, which you have your Windows 10 devices, we have your Windows 11, and you have the Mac device. So that's why you see most of devices you see in companies, they usually tell you that don't use organization device, don't use company device to do personal things, don't use this one, don't do that, don't that. Some people feel that, how would they know? If that company actually configure what to call data loss, the admin can see everything. In my organization recently, before my laptop, I can transfer files, with my USB and all those things like that. But recently, I just saw that I can't even transfer files. I can only copy files from my USB stick to my laptop, but I can't transfer files. So that is showing you that maybe they've seen that there's something that is going on this person's laptop, and they now what configure that thing. So you can't use your USB stick on your personal laptop. Although you put it, you see the information of the USB stick. If you want to copy anything from the company laptop to that USB stick, it will not allow you to do that. So you can configure all those things in your Windows 10 environment. I think Windows 10 is going now, so I think they've had already end of life now. So we have Windows 11 and also your Mac OS, and then we have the Microsoft Defender for Cloud, Microsoft Defender for Cloud apps, and then we have the on-premise repository. So now, if you look at this, your on-prem. Now, can somebody tell me how can we get information on an on-prem device in the cloud? If you remember, we talked about something from your on-prem and then to the cloud. Now, from your on-prem environment, you have devices that are enrolled in your on-prem environment. But now you want to now apply what we call this data loss on those devices. So what are we going to do for us to make sure that this on-prem device can also appear in the cloud environment? Can somebody remember? Can just put it on the chat there. Thank you very much. By syncing them, that is just it. You do syncing, and that's what we call. That's when we now have what we call the write back devices. So you do that syncing. So there is that syncing that will be able to that will enable you to sync your devices you have from on-prem and the devices you have in your cloud environment, and then you can now configure whatever you need to configure. Okay. Now then we have the protective action, which is the data loss policy. It said can take a show a pop-up policy tips, block sharing of sensitive items with or without override option, move data at rest to a secure quarantine location. For Teams chats, sensitive information won't be displayed. And we have the security co-pilot integration. Now, in your purview environment, you can also integrate your co-pilots. Okay, and then the co-pilot experience will also help you to understand to do one or two things in your purview environment. So next. Now, what is endpoint data loss? What is endpoint data loss prevention? Endpoint. Now, I say endpoint data loss prevention say enable you to audit and manage many activities users perform on sensitive items that are physically on Windows 10, Windows 11, or Mac devices, which is what I just made mention of. Okay, which is what I just made mention of. So now, this your endpoint. You know that endpoint, when you say endpoint, are your devices. Okay, so endpoint device, you have the word endpoints. Now, this your devices, like I said earlier on, now they store a particular information. Every activities you do on that machine, on that device, you can enable. There is an audit log that shows you things that carries on that particular device. That's why you see when companies say that, okay, don't transfer this, don't do this, and maybe for example they say, okay, like in my company now, you cannot even transfer anything to your USB stick. You can't even do anything. So we usually advise you that back up all your files onto OneDrive. External hard disks are not recommended. So even if you say, okay, you want to go, the just put there, it will not work. It's mostly on Windows machine. Okay, but on I've not tried it on the Mac OS, which is with Intune, but on Windows machine, I know that works. There is a policy you can actually do, even with your on-prem. Even on-prem, there is policy, so you can actually do that. But for Windows, for Mac devices. I've not tried that, but I know you have it in the also in the Intune environment. So now he said the list that follow show few examples, which is creating items, renaming an item, copying item to removable media, copying item to network shares, printing document. So when you copy item from your network share, your network share drive, when you have, because you have access to, you want to copy any item, all these things are being recorded. So there's an audit for it. Printing of what? Of document. When you print on, some companies, don't even like my company, they do all these printings. That is even a small store. They don't even do that. So you can print anything you want to print, it's left for you. So it depends. But if it's some company that they don't printing is like gold in that company. So you can't just be printing anyhow, just waste ink, papers and all this and that. So they will have an also audit law for all those things. Now I have said accessing item using unallowed apps and browser. So like in my company too now, very soon they said no using of ChatGPT. So you can't go to your URL and tell ChatGPT to not allow you to not go. So, but all those things, when you are trying to do them, or you are trying to bypass, trying to any trick you are trying to do, they have admin people that are seeing everything that is going on those devices. Now I said in the Activity Explorer, you can view information about what users are doing with sensitive content. So which is oh yeah. Oh, somebody said yes. I know it works with Kanji. So we also use Kanji in my company. So yeah. I know it works with Kanji, but I've not configured that before. Yeah, I know. Yeah, it works with Kanji. So we use Kanji in my office. Thank you for that. So next. It said data loss prevention capability extend to Microsoft Teams. I've said it earlier on, and chat messages, whether it is in a message or file, including messages in private channels. So which means that whether you are trying to send a file or you are trying to send a message. So if you are trying to send a file that you are not meant to send, so it will definitely bring out a message, just like what you have said. This help protect sensitive information shared in chat channels and files, including private channels, like other Microsoft 365 app. Data loss prevention policy tips notify user when sending when a message or file trigger a policy, such as sharing a US social security numbers. So when you are trying to share a sensitive information through somebody, maybe you want to share within your colleagues, it will not go. The next thing you'll be seeing is what you are seeing here. So when you now click on what can I do, if you click on that what can I do, it will now tell you the reason why that particular message you are trying to send, you are trying to send a file, that particular message is not being delivered. It will not tell you what you can do. It will tell you that because you don't have or you are not permitted to do that. So that's why I see at times some users try to play smart. So configuring all this data loss prevention is what is very, very important. So this is now known as the data loss prevention in the Microsoft Teams environment. So the same way you are seeing your even in Microsoft Teams environment, I think there's something there's another one Microsoft does that is called weaponize, something like that. So what that one does is that when you are trying to send any files that has a particular extension that has been listed, it will not be sent. But the recipient will receive a message saying that this file was blocked. And then you that are trying to send that file will not be delivered to that person, because you are trying to send a file. Let's say, for example, that somebody is trying to send you a file that has to do with .bat, or you're trying to send a file that has to do with .exe, and already in the policy they've listed it among those files that is not allowed to be sent in your Teams environment. So when you're trying to send those files, it will not go. And all this is for for security, but because it's possible, you know, .bat is it's a different file, it's another different file extension. But the same way, some people, hackers or these boys outside, they can simply hide something in that particular file. You just click on it. Oh, it's a good file. This is not .bat. I can use that. You just double click on it, and when you double click on it, it will just perform another thing entirely. So in Microsoft, so you can also do that in your Microsoft Purview environment. Then the next thing we have is the insider risks. Insider risk management in Purview, in Microsoft Purview. Insider risk environment in the Microsoft Purview. Now, what does it do? It's that it helps organizations reduce internal threats by detecting, investigating, and responding to risks or malicious action. Or malicious action. It said effective risk management begins with understanding workplace risks. Some come from external factors beyond control, while others come from internal behavior that can be identified and prevented. That can be identified and prevented. So there's something called the insider risk management. So for the fact that you are being employed in an organization, the company is not like, okay, like people working in the bank. I love using bank for example, because this is very sensitive. Now, people working in a bank, for the fact that you are working in the bank does not simply means that that organization, they've trusted you with people's accounts, people's details, in such a way that they will not put any other strict measure for you. Just say, we trust this person now. Oh, this person has a good portfolio. Oh, this person is trusted. No. So there's something called the insider risk management. So in Purview environment, you can also configure that particular effect. So it says some examples include leakage of sensitive data. Leakage of of sensitive data. Now, where we've seen where users take data that are not meant to take, or maybe because you are working in a bank and you say okay, should be that my friend, he said he's working he said he has a GT account. Let me go and see. Let me even check his account balance. Let me see what he has in account. This person that usually is a stingy person. All those things, these are things that are very these are information. These are people's information that are private. So this insider risk management is what they configure to make sure that such information are not being leaked by the internal people. Now I said confidential violation, intellectual property theft, fraud, insider trading, and regulatory compliance violation. Okay. Now we now have the insider risk management workflow. We have the insider risk management workflow. Now, if you look at the management workflow from the diagram you have there, now there is a policy that will be created. Now, when you create a policy, there's an alert. Now, these alerts are automatically generated by risk indicator. So, which means that when a policy is being created and that policy is about to be violated, the alert comes in. Okay. I think there's noise. Can you please mute your mic? Now, then we now have the tried. The tried process said review can view alert details for the policy match. And then we now have investigation. We now investigate the details match, and then action now need to be taking place. So this is known as what? As the insider risk what? Management what? Flow. So when the policy is being created, there's always an alert when something is going wrong. When the alert is being generated, then not that, okay, let's say for example, you configure an insider risk. Let's say for example, you configure an insider risk. Now, when you configure that insider risk, now, and you know that there's a particular, you now receive a particular alert, and now that alert that you get is going against that policy, but the person was not able to pass through. But normally, in the normal sense, it shouldn't happen. So as an admin, you can't just sit down and just feel that, oh, thank God, thank God, nothing happened. Oh, nothing happened. No, you now need to what? You now need to go on further and investigate what really happened. How is this person? It's just, for example, now you just, if on your phone you receive maybe to log into your email, you need to approve it, your authenticator, and then you don't see your matching, you don't see a matching number, you don't see a notification asking you, oh, so you know that somebody is trying to log into your account and you're not the one doing it. So you can't just sit down and say, thank God for authenticator. Oh, thank God I have authentication. No, good. No. What you now need to do, you need to take action. You need to investigate. So you mean that you have to go and tell your admin, or if you have a right to reset your password, if the SSPI is being configured, you reset your password. When you reset your password, then you cannot escalate it to your IT team. Oh, so XY, so day I was on, I got a notification to log in, but I wasn't the one. So the admin will now go back and check the policy, check the audit log, and they will now say, okay, were you in this particular location? So they're trying to log in. No, I was not. A lady has come to us before. No, my place of work. So she said that I think she was having issue to log in, but she couldn't log into her account and things like that. And I asked, okay, let's check. No, she said she couldn't log in. She said she couldn't log into her account. I said, what's happening? So because she was like, okay, let's reset her password. I said, okay, but before we reset her password, I said, when last did you log in? She said, okay, I log in last so XYZ. That's okay. Let's check the sign-in log. And when we checked the sign-in log, we saw that that particular day she was complaining that she couldn't log in. She has already logged in a particular location, and she said, no, I'm not the one. I wasn't in this location. Oh, XY, this and that. And that's okay. And then that's how we now quickly reset our password, and then we did investigation further to see what really happened. Okay, so an insider risk management. So this is known as what? This is your insider word risk management flow. Okay. Next. Now that's what we have. Audit in Microsoft Purview. Audit in Microsoft Purview. Now, I don't think audit should be something that you should be something that is strange to you. We're talking about audit. Now, it said, but in Microsoft Purview, that's what we call. If you could see the last time in our last class, I showed you how to enable the audit environment, which I showed you. We went to our Microsoft 365 environment, and we click on the security. We saw how you can also enable your audit. Now then we now have the Microsoft Purview audit. Say enable organization to respond to security incident, investigate and compliance requirements by capturing and storing thousands of users and admin action across Microsoft 365 and security, which is Copilot too is already enabled, but Copilot is like another separate features you can also enable in your Purview environment for security things. Okay. Now say audit record for this event are searchable by security operations, IT administrator, insider risk team, and compliance and legal investigator within your organization. Okay, now this your audit it depends on what you want to do in your audit environment. Okay, so in your audit environment, in the Microsoft Purview environment, now is in two forms. We have the standard audit and we have the premium audit. Now the difference between both is just what is the features. Now the standard audit provides you with the ability to log and search for audit activities and power forensic, like IT compliance and legal investigation, is turned on by default. So legal investigation, but in your audit, in your standard, it said it's turned on, but in your standard, these things are turned on by default for all organizations within appropriate subscription. So now your Microsoft 365 environment in your organization, audit record can also retrieve using the Office 365 management activities app. Say you can, API. It said you can export the audit record, turn on by the search to a CSV file. Like I said earlier on. Now, when in an organization you have heat argument with a colleague on the team's environment and somebody deleted an information, now the HR now say, okay, IT, we need to investigate on this particular thing that happened. Now, when you now go to your Purview environment, you go to your Purview environment to retrieve the chat between these colleagues, what really happened. You can't call the HR, oh yeah, come and check on the laptop, come and check, this is what happened, this is true. No, you need to export that particular thing. You need to export that particular chart, and then you now forward it to the necessary body for investigation. Whatsoever they want to do with it is none of your own business. Your own business is just to get that particular information, export it, and then send it to the HR. And once everything is being done, then you can now close the case. But everything is now left to with the HR. Then it's now left to them. They are the one that can now take the necessary action they want to take. Okay. So this audit is in two forms. We have the standard and we have the premium. So the premium, you have to, it's like another paid feature, which is most companies usually make use of the premium because that has more features to make use of. Now now we have the Microsoft Purview eDiscovery. Microsoft Purview eDiscovery. Now, Microsoft Purview eDiscovery. From the word eDiscovery simply means what? Electronic discovery. It's a process of finding and providing digital information that may serve as evidence in legal investigation or court.
We can't hear you. We can't hear you.
Opeyemi, I think your mic is mute.
Oh, sorry about that. I don't know how come I got muted.
Go ahead, please.
All right, thank you for that. Sorry. Okay, so what's the last thing you had, please?
You're talking
so I think I was talking about the
documents.
Microsoft Purview eDiscovery. Now I said the Microsoft Purview eDiscovery is known as what? The electronic word. That E means what? Electronic. Electronic word eDiscovery is the process of finding and providing digital information that may serve as evidence in legal investigation or court cases. In legal investigation or court cases. It said this help you to quickly identify, investigate, and take electronic stored information in your organization. Okay, in your organization. Now, like I said, like I was talking about the teams and things like that. So if you want to do your content search in Microsoft Purview environment, you have to give that person access to what we call this eDiscovery manager. The person must have this particular role. I'm sorry, this particular permission. Okay, because this is what now helps you to find a digital information that may start. So, like I said, it argument with your colleagues, and now this now leads to the HR. Now they want to investigate what really happened. It's not like a normal verbal abuse. Is a chat. Is an is a email. Is a chat. So once you apply this eDiscovery manager to that particular person, so that particular person, even if you are administrator, you cannot go and do it. You must have this particular permission, which is the eDiscovery, before you can now do what to call. So that operation is now known as the content search in the Microsoft Purview. So it allows for what? For investigation. It can be for anything. I just made of use that particular example. So it can be for court cases. All you just need, like I said, your own is to go there, fetch out the information they need, and then forward it to the HR. What you just need to do, like I said, there's also an export. You export those particular files, forward it to the HR in the readable format where they can see, and they will see everything, how everything happens. And once the investigation is done, you just come to your place here, and then you do what you call case. You close the case. So now this Microsoft, this eDiscovery, they are done in steps. You say escalate from trigger event. If you look at from the diagram you have there now, the first step, which is what? Escalate from what? From trigger events. The trigger event activities that escalate in your organization and prompt the creation of a new case in eDiscovery. Then step 2, create and manage case. So a case in eDiscovery contain all searches hold and review sets related to a specific word related to a specific word investigation. So you create the case, like I said earlier on. Now there's a heat argument with a colleague, and this happens in the Microsoft Teams environment. Now this has been escalated. Now you go to your Microsoft Purview, like I said, you grant the eDiscovery manager access. Then you come up here, you now create you create and manage cases. Then step 3 is search and evaluate result. That is redefine. After you create a case, use the built-in search tools in eDiscovery to search the content location in your organization. That is to say that where did this thing happen? Is it in your Exchange environment? Is it in the Teams? Is it in OneDrive? So depending on what you're actually searching for. And then we have the step 4, action, which is now you now export this result. So you have to create a review set, export this result, and then this can now be forwarded to the HR. But in some cases, you have to, I think in your Microsoft Teams environment, you must have what you call a retention policy on that particular user account. But without the retention policy too, you can see export that information. But if maybe when this particular thing happened, it has taken a whole long time, you might not be able to have that information. But once there's a retention hold, then that's why you see when you are setting up your organization, all these are things that is very important. The first thing when you have your tenant, the first thing you need to do, you come audit you enable your audit log. When you enable your audit log, you go to the domain, you create you add the domain, because when you have you add your domain. So if maybe your company name, you add the domain, so that by the time you are creating that user, the user will carry the domain. Then the next thing, you're now setting up some basic things in that particular tenant environment. So if you need a retention hold for your users in your organization, then you need to configure retention hold so that if an email or anything is being deleted, there will be a retention hold on those things. So we can simply use content search for those things and then bring them out. Because once it's being deleted after maybe like I think it's after like 30 days or there, but I can't really remember. You may not have access to it. But if there's a retention hold on it, then you can definitely have access to that particular information. Okay. Now, this eDiscovery is very, very important in an organization. Okay, it's very, very important and in an organization. Then next we have compliance manager. It said this helps organization compliance manager. This helps organization assess and manage compliance across multi-cloud environment, supporting tasks like identifying data, protection risks, implementing control, staying up to date with regulations, and preparing audit reports. Report. Now, the Microsoft Compliance Manager helps you to automatically assess and manage compliance. That is what it does. So if in your environment, if in your Microsoft 365 environment now, you have a setup, what you call multi-cloud environment setup. Now, if you have multi-cloud environment setup, this means that you are bringing maybe another cloud infrastructure into your Microsoft environment. Now, there must be compliance. Because Microsoft themselves, they already have their own private. That's why you see the first thing we did, which is the service privacy store, is very, very important. These are things that organizations go and check before they start anything. So by the time you are bringing another cloud provider to your environment, and you are not following and it's not being compliant, at the end of the day, you will not come and start blaming Microsoft that XYZ has happened. But whereas what you simply did, you are out of compliance. It's just like for example now, you configure what you call labs in your Intune environment. You configure your labs. Now, when you configure these labs in your environment, and you now say that, okay, after every 30 days, these labs will rotate admin password for every machine, for every device. Now, the reason why you do that is for security purpose, so that you don't have just one admin password for the machine. You know that in companies, when you have your laptop, you want to install app, like I said last time, you want to install apps that are not in the company portal. Now you want to install a third-party app. Now, if you raise a ticket and they now approve it, now an admin will not come and install that app for you. But the admin does not even know the password to your machine, does not know what the admin password. So what the admin now needs to do is to go to your Intune environment, search for that particular user, and then search for the device of the user. Then there's something called labs. So that labs has been configured that, okay, password should be rotated every maybe let's say every month. Some it depends on the company. Some company can say every week. Some company can say every 2 weeks. Now, if the password I used to install application for you today, after 1 month, you now came back, you now say, oh, you want to install another application. If I go back to that labs and then search for your password, I shouldn't be seeing that same password I used for you. But if you are not seeing that same password, then there's a compliance issue. So that simply means that that particular device is out of compliance. So these are things that admins check. These are things that admin would try to check. So the same thing applies to when when you are simply bringing another cloud services into your Microsoft, let's say into your Azure. Let me use Azure for example, Azure and AWS. Now, and there is no compliance. You are not complying. You are just trying to join everything together. Then there will be issue. If there is any security risks, it means that it is you that is not in compliance. So that's why it said that it helps organization access and manage compliance across multi-cloud environment, supporting tasks like identifying data protection risks, implementing controls, staying up to date with regulations, and preparing audit report. So which means that audit report which means that every month, so not even every month, it depends on some organization, your audit is very, very important. There are some companies that is what they just employ that one person to be doing that thing. You don't have anything to do. Every time you will go and be checking the audit to make sure resources in your organization are in compliance. And once they are out of compliance, there is a party you raise a ticket to, and they will now contact the person. We now contact. I mean, I think my company, at the time we are having the Microsoft Defender was having issue in some users' laptop. So the audit guys checked, and what they now did, they now send us a spreadsheet of some laptop that are actually out of compliance. And what they said that okay, we have tried to. I mean, they send it to the infrastructure guys to see how it's going to work, but they are not able to do it. So they now say they have to do it manually. So we now have to contact the user and now do a manual configuration that now enable those laptops to now communicate. So they are now able. So those are things. So that's why you see audit is very, very important. So that when your devices, when things are not in compliance in your organization, you can now know what to do. So that is what the compliance manager does. And then we now have the key element of the compliance manager. We have the controls, assessments, regulations, and then improvement action. Just like what I said. They check, they see that some devices are out of compliance and they have to be done manually. Then we contacted them and then we did it manually, and then everything was now working perfect. That is what we call the improvement action. So once something is out of compliance and there's no is not doing what is meant to do, then you need to take necessary action. So this audit report is what allows you to have access. So the compliance manager dashboard shows current compliance score, helps admin to see what needs attention, and guide them to take key improvement action. So when you see something that is out of compliance, then you have to, because if there's any issue, that's why you see team bonding is very, very important. When there's any issue, they will not say it's XYZ. It is one. It is the team. It is the team that will be affected. Okay, so these are actually are very important. And then we now have the benefit of compliance manager. Now, benefit of compliance manager is providing access to large variety of out-of-box assessment and custom assessment to help organizations with their unique compliance need, mapping regulatory control against recommended improvement action, providing step-by-step guidance on how to implement the solution to meet regulatory requirement, just like what I said. So they will provide that step. So these are very, very important. It's helping admins and users to prioritize action that have the highest impact on their organizational compliance by associating a score with each action. So if you look at this diagram here now, so the compliance will tell you that, okay, if maybe in your organization or maybe like in your organization, your compliance, you are not, I mean, your Microsoft will give you what, we show you the compliance in this, and then in your organization, when you come to this compliance score and you see that this score, how come our compliance score used to be 100, I mean used to be 70, our compliance scores used to be 80, now how come we are now dropping down to 57? What is happening? So you definitely something is not what right somewhere. Something has gone what out of what compliance. Somebody said I can't see the screen. The screen is. Are you able to see my screen? I can. Somebody said I can't see the diagram. This is the diagram here.
Yeah, it's a bit tiny.
Yeah. So it's a bit tight. So it's just a normal screenshot. So you see it when
Yeah,
by the time we get to the portal. So when you start
True.
the normal
Yep.
stuff, so you see it. Yeah.
All right.
All right. Thank you. Then the next thing we have is data life cycle management. Data life cycle management. Data life cycle management. It said provide tools and capability to retain the content that you need to keep and delete the content that you don't need. Retaining and deleting emails, documents, and messages are often needed for compliance and regulatory requirement. However, deleting content that no longer has business value also reduce your attack surface. Okay, so it's just like, for example, when you enroll a device on your into environment and this device is no longer and this device is no longer let's say the device is no, I mean, like for example, here in the UK, for every device there is span here which a user can use a device, which is 5 years. Some company will say 4 years. So after 4 years, if that particular device is still exists, if you still with one user, or maybe you employ another user and that person now, maybe you now assign that user to another, I mean you assign that device to a new person, you understand? But as long as that device is up to 4 years in that organization, now that device will be retrieved back from that user, which is something we call refresh. So you retrieve that device back from that user and then give them another device. The reason being is because of what that device is out of age. So you need to take that device away. But already that device has been enrolled in your Intune environment. Now you don't need it again. That device has been retrieved from the user. The hard drive has been, the normal thing that needs to be done is done. You take that device. So you have to go to your Intune environment and then make sure you delete that device completely from that environment. That is known as what's called data lifecycle management. So when you take that device from that user, it shouldn't still be in our Intune environment. So you have to go to your Intune environment, take that device away, delete that device, and then the physical device can now be taken for normal disposal. So it depends on it depends on company policy on how they dispose device that are no longer in use. Maybe they take out the hard drive, because that hard drive is very important. They make sure they wipe it. Then it depends. So some companies take away the hard drive and they give it to a separate company that will now destroy those hard drive completely. That's why you see some people usually buy laptops that don't have hard drive. And so so most of those laptops you see like that, because it depends on the kind of organization. So they take the hard drive, they give it to companies that will destroy that hard drive, and then in the environment, in the cloud environment, they have to delete the data, delete that device from that particular environment. So it is known as what we call the data life cycle management. Okay. Now, this data data lifecycle management. There's what we call retention label are also apply, which is you said assign an item. Only one item can be assigned at a time. Retention settings travel with content, like I said, support disposition, publish through label, and then there is also what a retention policy. So by now you should know that when you apply a retention label, there is also a policy that created. The policy what determine how that retention label will definitely work. Okay, it said retention policy assigned at a site level or mailbox level. A single policy can be applied to multiple locations or to a specific location or user. Items inherit the retention settings from their containers. Okay, next. And then next we have record management. The next thing we have is record management. Organizations of all types require a management solution to manage regulatory, legal, and business critical records across their corporate data. When content is labeled as a record by using a retention label, the following happen. Restrictions are put in place to block certain activities. Activities are locked. Proof of disposition is kept at the end of retention period. To enable items to be marked as records, and administration set up retention label. Okay, just like what you have here from this particular diagram. Next. And then next we have the data governance solution of Microsoft Purview. Data governance solution of Microsoft Purview. Now, it's a data governance ensure that the data you use in your business operation, reports, and analysis is discoverable, accurate, trusted, and protected. And protected. So data governance solution is how your data are being operated, and then the reports, analysis, and then accurate data. Make sure that the data are trusted and protected. Like I said earlier on, now you cannot say because I trust somebody, because you are being employed in an organization, now you now have access to somebody's data. No, that data will also pass through protection. That data will pass through protection, so that when you want to access that data, the data is protected. You need an access to access that data. Now, if let's say something happened and you no longer trust you, what they need to do is to retrieve your access. So that data is protected. So that is what we call the data governance solution. And then next thing. Now the next thing we have is the Microsoft Purview data catalog. Microsoft Purview data catalog. Sorry, just give me 1 minute, 1 second, please. Okay, so Microsoft Purview data catalog. It said the goal of Microsoft's Purview data catalog is to provide a platform for data governance and to drive business value creation in your organization. It does this through a rich set of features that align to data governance principle. Okay, data governance principle. So this data catalog. So this data catalogs allows, or what it does is that is a rich text of feature that aligns with your data governance principles. Okay. Now, what these particular things does is that it allows data access policy, search and browse, healthy management, which means that there should be a healthy control and healthy action, and then data quality. And the data quality is a comprehensive solution that empower governance domain and data owner to access and oversee the quality of their data. Their data ecosystem, facilitating targeted actions for improvement. And there's also called data quality offer users the ability to evaluate data using no code/low code rules. Okay. Now, by applying Microsoft Purview data quality, organization can effectively measure, monitor, and enhance the quality of their data sets. So can enhance the quality of their data set. Okay. I think that is all. Yeah. So I think this is the end of this slide. Should we go for question first? Okay, before the question, I will just need to show you one or two things from the portal. So I just want to show you one or two. Just give me 1 second. I just need to end this. And I will stop sharing my screen. Okay, 1 second. Let me bring up my portal. Okay, I'm going to share my screen now. Okay, I hope you can see my screen. I hope you can see my screen.
You can. Your screen is visible.
All right. Thank you.
It's visible.
So what I want to show you now is the service portal. The service portal. Now, like I said, this is the URL, which is servicetrust.microsoft.com. Servicetrust.microsoft.com. Now, this environment is very, very important for every IT cloud security personnel. It's very, very important. It's also very important for compliance managers, and also if you are a governance person. So all these things, all this particular environment shows you what the certification and regulation standard of data. So if you come up here, if you click on this, sorry, let me go back. So if you click on this one, you have the ISO, which is the International Organization for Standardization. Okay, so if you click on this one here, it shows you a whole lot of documents that you can actually download and then go through it and then understand what are these standards. Like, for example, now you have the Microsoft 365 here. If you click on this place there now, if you come up here, you have the Dynamics 365. You can see now it will tell you everything. You have the Azure data bricks. Okay. So if you come to this environment, you have different things. It depends. There are a whole lot of information here, but you need to sign in with your account. Okay. So you go back. I think I'm signed. Am I signed? Okay. Let me go back. Try to sign. I think I'm signing. Okay. I'm signed in. Because you have to sign in when you need to download any information there, so it will require you to sign in. Okay, I think I'm signing now. So now if you come up here, you have the library here. Now under this library shows you what you have definitely downloaded, what you have saved from your service portal. If I go to this my service portal here now, Let me click on this service trust portal. Now, if I come up here, let's say RGDP. GDPR, sorry, GDPR. Now, your GDPR is known as your General Data Protection Regulation. So it's a comprehensive data protection law that regulates the use of personal data in what? In EU. So if you are in that environment and you are the IT person, so you can simply come up here and then look at a lot of documents here. Now, these are documents that safeguard, these are standards that safeguard how your documents, how information are being used in your Microsoft environment. How Microsoft use your information. They still tell you that they are also part of some bodies. Okay, so from here I can come up here. If I want to get this one, all you just need to do, I think you just come up here, click on this double ellipse here. I hope you can see my screen. So you click on this place here, you just click on this arrow, or you click on this one here. When you click on this here, I don't know why it's not showing me. I've tried to refresh. So I think this is just download. So go back there. So if you go back to library, or you go to library, then you will definitely see that particular one I downloaded. So you can see the is here now. So from here I can open it. Some are in PDF, some when you click on it, it will ask you to log in. You log in again. By the time you log in, it will tell you that you don't have access. So which means that it's not everything you have access to. So it depends. So if I come up, if I click on this one, I can also download it to my laptop. So you can see now it's downloaded. So you can see this is a GDPR and generative AI guide for customers. Can you see that now? So you are not impressed. You say, oh, AI, oh, they are taking our data, oh, they are doing XYZ. So when you come up here, they will tell you what are the regulations, what the AI is taking, what AI is seeing. So here you can read. If you come up here, you now read everything. If you are not still satisfied with it, then you can now withdraw. But here, they've told you everything from this place. So these are documents that are very handy that you can also go there, download, make use of it depending on your region, depending on your location. So when you go back, you can come back here, Service Trust Portal. Then this one here, you have the PCI. These are one that manage payment and all this your payment card industry stuff. So you can see that now. You put your card when you subscribe to some subscription in your Microsoft environment. You put your card here. You click on here, they will tell you what are all this information being done. Are they secure? Are they being safe? If they told you, so you come up here, you read more things about all those things so you can understand better how your data are being used. Okay, so you can see that they also belongs to different body that safeguard different kind of data based on your based on the region. So they have a lot, and I think they are still coming up with some. I think there's one I see in preview. I can't really remember. Yeah, so this place is very important. So you can come up here and then have a lot of resources. And then the next one, I'll go to my admin portal environment. No, this is your admin. Like I told you last week, to go to your admin, you type admin.cloud.microsoft, or you type admin.microsoft. It brings you here. And there's another link which you can use, which mostly is just, I'm not sure it's by Microsoft. I think it's somebody that just did that particular, which is very handy, which is known as cmd.ms.com. and you press cmd.ms and you press your enter. Now this cmd.ms, what it does that it has different, it shows you the URL of every different admin. Like if you go to this is your admin portal here. When you go to admin portal here, you can see here, this is your admins here. You have your security, you have your purview, you have your Microsoft Intune, you have your identity, you have the Azure. I think they just added this Azure one here. So that if you have somebody muted. I mean, somebody's on mute. My screen is frozen. Sorry, can you see my screen?
Yes.
Yes.
All right.
Yes, we can see.
Yes, we can see your screen.
All right, thank you. So this is all your admin centers, okay? So if you are a global administrator, or depending on the kind of rights you have, then you definitely see all this also. Because I'm a global administrator, but this account is a global administrator, so I can see all these ones here. So if I come up here, if I don't want to come here to access all this, then you can now decide to use this one I gave, which is the cmd.ms. So here you now have the Azure. If you click on this one here, it will tell you different resources you want to access in Azure here. You come up here, once you click on it, it will take you straight to the place if you have access. If you come to your Entra, here. On your Entra, you want to view users, you want to view groups, you want to go to device settings, you want to go to conditional access. I know that to go to your conditional access, if you come up here, you click on your identity to take you there. But this one here gives you a whole different URL. So I think it's somebody, I'm not sure it's by Microsoft. So I think it's just somebody that just did it, and which is quite very handy. So this is just, you can make use of it and it will take you to that place. Okay, so now we want to go to our purview. Now this is our purview. Now this is my admin center. So I'll click on this, my purview, Microsoft purview. So this is Microsoft purview. I think, how many minutes do we have? Okay, so 10 minutes. Now this is your Microsoft purview environment. Now to take you to your Microsoft purview environment, you go to your admin here, you click on what? Purview. You can see that Microsoft what? Purview. Okay, I think before it was compliance, so they just change it. Okay, they call it Microsoft Purview. Now you come up here, it takes you. Now it is very, very important also to take note of these URLs, because this URL at times you can be asked in an exam. So if they say, because you're only used to that, you want to go to your purview environment, you are used to coming here and then come up here, you click on your Microsoft purview, it takes you, it takes you there. And then the next thing they ask, okay, how do you access? Or maybe they ask you an interview. So how do you access? Because some interviews, I've been an interview before, and the only thing they ask me is how do you change your DNS? How do you ping? Should I tell you that some interview can be so crazy at times? You will just be thinking that this kind of small question, but you see that simple question can make someone fail if you don't really understand it very well. So they can ask you that, okay, what is the URL to access? How do you access your purview environment? And you say, okay, you go to the admin, and from the admin, blah blah. Okay, what if, for example, I just give you an account? I just give you an account, and you don't have an admin environment, or you don't have any role. So how do you view it as just normal that, let's assume you want to log in? You now start saying, and you're always just used to, I have to go to my admin now and then click on purview. But how do you? So you have to very, very important. It's very important you know that to go to your purview environment without me even coming here is to type what? purview.microsoft.com. Okay, so it's not purview, it's not admin.purview.microsoft. So don't mix up things. It's only when you want to go to your admin environment that housing every other Microsoft product you access. Okay, so you now type your admin.microsoft.com, or you say admin. I think this .cloud is a new one. I'm not sure, they are not really advertising it as that much, and so most people are not even aware of it. So you can type anyone, it will take you to your admin environment. So here you cannot access your any other. So if maybe the role they gave you is just an Exchange administrator, or they give you a role as a Teams administrator, you will not see all these things here. The only one you see is these Teams, because you are just a Teams administrator. Okay, if it's Exchange, you just see this one, Exchange administrator. So you just see the environment. So if you click on it, that one too has its own URL. But this link I share here is also very important. So that one can take you, so that one can also take you to any of the admin environment you want to go. So if I come up here, if I let me say I want to go to Microsoft 365 here. I want to go to my, let's say I want to go to Teams. Click on Teams here. It will take me to Teams environment. So can you see the URL now? It is admin.teams.microsoft. But we are not doing Teams. I'm just trying to explain that to you. Okay. So that's for that. So now this is our purview environment now. Now from our purview environment, now these are where we can do a whole lot of things that those are what we have just actually made mention of. Okay. Where we can do our insider risk management, the eDiscovery, and configure our sensitivity label. Okay. Now, if you come up here now on your Microsoft, you can see here you have solution. Before, this was not how the interface looks like. Okay. So they just change the interface. So that in case if you go online and you say you want to see how to configure eDiscovery, you want to see how to configure, and you're not seeing different portal. So you should know that is a different, maybe that video has been, they've done that video for a very long time, because this thing usually confuse most people. Because even me, it took me time before I could understand, I could study this particular entire. I could remember a friend of mine was complaining at place of all. He said, this time was just changed. He didn't even understand. He didn't even know where this thing, he wanted to do something. He didn't even know where it is again and all this now, because the interface was changed. Okay. So it's very important that you also study the interface. That's why we are trying to look at the interface environment. So you come to your solutions here. Under your solution, you can see now these are audits. Click on audit here. Now, on your audit here, you can come up here and then filter, put your keywords. It depends on what you want to do. But we are not doing anything. I'm just showing you the environment. So it's a step by step. Another person will still come and take you on how to configure a whole lot of things. Okay. So so that is for that. That's the eDiscovery. So if you go to solutions again, if you want to configure, let's say compliance, this is your compliance manager, and I click on this compliance manager here. If you click on this one here now, you will see the overview. Click on your overview here. When you click on your overview, you see what is going to show you. It's going to show you the compliance score. So this is my own compliance score in my tenant environment. Okay, overall score. Now what is happening is that you have your point achieved. You can see this is the point I'm able to achieve, and then you have the Microsoft managed point achieved. You can see that now. You can see the difference between both of them. Okay, and then you have the, here you can see you have different improvement action we talked about. You can see that improvement action. Now what is it? Am I supposed to do anything? If you come up here, you see you have stats. I mean, you have test status, you have failed risks, you have, so here it will give you a whole lot of things. What you can now see that, okay, if I'm going out of compliance, if there's an issue, before I'm up to 40, I'm maybe like 70, now my compliance score is now dropping. So it means that there's something that is happening. Okay, you see that maybe I have, you see that maybe there is something called, like we talked about the data life cycle. Now you have a device, that device is no longer in use in the company, but it's still there. It's still there in your Intune environment. It's not taken off there. So it also won't affect what your compliance score, because of what that device will not be in compliance. Now let me just show you one thing in my Intune environment. If I go here and I click on my Intune, just show you something. Click on Intune. Now, okay, let me authenticator. 1 second. Let me just approve this authentication. 860. So then click on no. Now this is my Intune environment. Now, if I come up here now, I have devices here. If you come up here, you can see that my Windows devices have 2 devices there now, right? But if I click on this, my device, there's something that is happening. If you look at this compliance here, you can see non-compliance. What really happened? So now let me click on this other one here now. Now, if you click on this place here now, it will now show you information. Now, what really happened to this particular device is because of what? Rotation local admin password pending. This device was an operating system, it's a Windows system. The mode is a virtual machine. Now, I just use this for a particular test, and that virtual machine is no longer in existence. I've deleted the virtual machine. I don't need it. I just use it to practice to do the labs configuration. But now, this device is still here in my Intune environment. So that is what is now affecting what? My compliance score. Because here already, it has shown me that this device is not what? Is not in compliance. You can see now, non-compliance. You can see. So these are things that are very important that you check. Like I said, there are different set of people that does all these things. So, but as a security partner, you already have access to some of these insights. Some you might have maybe you have just read access. Okay, so read access, you can only view things. You cannot carry out any operation. So then you now need to now escalate to another team that will now go and say, okay, since this device is no longer in use, okay, what do you need to do? Okay, let's delete it. And you just come up here, you delete that device. If that device is active and now is not telling me that rotation local admin password pending, it simply means that that device is no longer communicating with my Intune environment. Then I now need to go and now check that device. And I need to go, who has this device? And I need to look for the person that is signing into this device. And I need to do say that I do something here to maybe like if I click on sync now. So if that person that is using that device is online, this device should be able to sync. Though normally it should do that automatically. So these are things that compliance has to do with checking one or two things, checking your audit log. So if I go back here, I have my audit log here. So that is for that. So I'll just go back to my purview. So that is for this one here. Okay. So if you go back to here again, solutions, you have the data log, you have your data lifecycle management, you have your data loss prevention, and then a whole lot of things. You can see this is information barrier here. This is another thing entirely. These are another thing entirely. Okay. Then we have this is the eDiscovery we talked about. We have the information security, insider risk management, record management. So you can see now a whole lot of things you can do in this your Microsoft Purview environment. So like we say, this is just SC 900. It's all for you to understand one or two things, see one or two things, but the real practical step is coming. As long as you are patient enough, then you definitely get it. So that is all for today. I do hope you fully understand one or two things. Nonso, I think I'm done for now. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Opeyemi, for that insightful section. I hope. Can you hear me, please? Hello, can you hear me?
Yes,
All right,
Yes, we
thank
can
you.
hear you.
All right,
Yes,
thank you,
can hear
Opeyemi,
you.
for that insightful section. I hope we now have a good understanding of the capabilities of Microsoft Preview and Purview. In summary, Preview provides privacy, using tools like sensitivity labels and policy management, while Purview ensures data governance and compliance with tools like data loss prevention, retention policy management. Together, they work hand in hand to help keep information in the cloud safe. It's now time for question and answer. If you have any question, please use the raise hand emoji and wait for me to call you to speak while I also go through the chat for any unanswered question. I have one question in the chat. It's asking, you mentioned if a staff has left the company, and an information needed from OneDrive, it can be retrieved through a link. My question is, I'm trying to make meaning out of what she's writing, or he is writing, sorry, Ibrahim. Were you talking about personal OneDrive of the S staff or the work OneDrive using, or the OneDrive used during the time of work? Okay, it's asking when you spoke about being able to retrieve OneDrive. Are you talking about personal OneDrive or the company OneDrive?
Yeah, I think I was talking about the company OneDrive and not the personal OneDrive. So that's why it's called OneDrive for business. So that is for the company one, personal. I mean the company OneDrive. So when don't mix it up. When I say company, means that the user, so you that is working in that company, you understand? So that OneDrive is for the company, you understand? But you already have access to that particular OneDrive as a user, because when the account is being created for you, you already automatically have access to OneDrive where you save your files, maybe files that has to do maybe with clients or with anything, depending on your role in that particular organization. Okay, so once that person leave that organization and maybe they need something, maybe that they need a file from that person OneDrive, and because this is a person that has transaction with, okay, let's say, okay, let's say for example a receipt is needed, and you are the one that has the attachment of that receipt in your OneDrive. Okay, it's not, nobody has it in the team. So if the manager raised a request and do so, they say, okay, so person.
Hello, baby, are you there?
Sorry, I thought I was muted. I think somebody muted me. Sorry, so I was muted. I didn't know. So, like I was saying, I said, so this is for personal, this is for OneDrive for business, the organization OneDrive. But for you, you are the one that owns that OneDrive as the user in that organization, but not your personal one. So because there's personal OneDrive, which is normal OneDrive you use for your own personal need. That doesn't have to do with anything with your organization or whatever. You understand? So that one for the organization, like I said, if a user leaves an organization and maybe there's a file or something they need to retrieve from, before it used to be the shared, so it used to be the one on-prem, so there's a different, but now most companies now use the OneDrive. Okay, so they tell you that back up all your files, put them onto OneDrive. Okay, so now they don't need access to that drive. All we just need to do, we now need to get permission from the manager. Okay, even at times the manager too is limited, because once you leave an organization, you understand, nobody usually have access to your email because of data protection. Okay, so for the fact that you left does not mean that your manager will have access to it, but in some instance now the manager need access either to your OneDrive or either to your mailbox. That manager can be given access to that particular OneDrive to go and retrieve. So all we just need to do, the manager doesn't need to log in with your email and password. All we just need to do, let me just quickly share my screen and just show you because of time. I'm just saying it so you can know. So all you just need to do, if you look at my screen here now, this is a user here called, this is my user in my M365 environment. This is a user called Ademoses. So if you come up here, you see OneDrive, you come up here, all you just need to do is to come up here, create a link, and then that's the link you send to that particular manager, and then he will definitely have access to that files of that user OneDrive. Okay, but like I said, you have to do it with permission. All right, thank you.
All right, thank you, Opeyemi. In addition to that, we are security professionals. It is not even best practice to allow a user to have a personal OneDrive on a work computer. So it's business OneDrive.
Yeah, so sorry, additional to what you just said, just like what we talked about endpoint data data protection. So if you having your own personal work things on your company drive, on your company machine, just know that that machine is being onboarded somewhere, that somebody is having access. There's a log for everything. They watch whatever you are doing on that machine. So you have sensitive information, personal things that you are doing there. You have to be very careful.
Okay, we have a few people that raised their hands. Oh, okay, we have David Angus. Please go ahead.
Good evening. Thanks very much. I don't know. You were saying something about something to do with DNS. When you talked about asking, like being asked in an interview question, I didn't get that. I really want to get what you were trying to say at that point. And secondly, I wanted to know, is it possible for us to have a poll of your account? Because what I found out is even to have an how will I put it, an Entra ID and all those Microsoft packages, the account, it's not really something that's that easy. So I was wondering if it's possible so that at least we can take our time to practice while like having our own spare time, not since we can really practice wide in class. I was thinking maybe while we have our own spare time, we can practice. You get that's just it. Thanks very much. I really appreciate it.
Okay. So Nonso, do you want to throw light on the account?
On the account, I wasn't on the class yesterday, but I think they spoke about how to get tenants yesterday. But what I would advise is, as the training progressed, when we get to the point where you need accounts to use for the tenants, you'll be advised on the best way to do that. I'll also clarify from the organizers and get back to you on the group on this, okay?
Sorry, addition to that, for the account, you want to get a free trial account on Microsoft 365. I think Emmanuel did a video thing last year. I think we drop it on the group chat. I don't know if you're on the group chat. There's a video there, YouTube. Just go and watch that video. You see how to create a free trial account. But like I will advise everybody here, it's good to have trial, but you know that trial account, you have to use your credit card. So you have to also, and then after 30 days, you have to make sure you cancel it. And then, so just watch that video to definitely explain everything. But I would advise that you wait when the class, when you start the lab, so that the days will not start counting. So you can you can make good use of that particular account. Because if you open the account now, the trial start counting. But when you open the account during when the next stage starts, then it will be better. You can follow along, which is very, very important. So you can have that. Before, there used to be the developer tenant. Like I said last week, they don't have that again. Microsoft is not offering that thing. So you have to open like a trial account, which you have with 30 days. You have. So just watch that video. I think somebody else posted that video now. So you see how you can set up. But I will advise you wait when the practical starts so that you can also follow with that particular account. Thank you. I think that's all.
Okay, thank you for that. Someone is asking for the link to the WhatsApp group. I think we posted the link last week. Is Emmanuel still here?